The sound of my mother's hand hitting my face was so loud that everything went silent afterward. My head snapped to the side. Little lights danced in front of my eyes like tiny stars. My cheek felt like someone had pressed a hot iron against it. I touched my face and felt it burning under my fingers. Mom stood in front of me, breathing hard, her hand still raised in the air. Behind her, my little brother Jacob leaned against the kitchen counter, eating chips like this was a movie he was watching. Dad walked in from the garage, wiping oil from his hands with a dirty rag. He looked at my red face. He looked at Mom. Then he looked right at me and said something that made my heart stop. His future is what matters. What are you worth anyway? Those words hit harder than the slap. I stood there, my bag in one hand, my appointment card in the other, and I realized something important. This wasn't just a bad day. This was my whole life. And right then I decided things were going to change. But they had no idea what was coming. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 30 years old. I live in a small town in Texas where everyone knows everyone. And this story, it's about the day I stopped being the family servant and became something they never expected. Stay with me because the revenge they got was sweeter than anything you can imagine. If you love stories where the underdog wins, hit that subscribe button right now. You won't regret it. Drop a comment telling me about your family drama. I read every single one. Let me take you back to how things were before that slap changed everything. I lived in a small blue house with a broken fence and grass that nobody cut. The paint was peeling off the walls. Inside, it always smelled like old coffee and the fried chicken Mom made every Sunday. I shared this house with Mom, Dad, and my younger brother Jacob, who was 22 years old. Every morning I woke up at 5. Not because I wanted to. 'Cause I had to. I worked at a grocery store, putting items on shelves and helping customers find things. After that job ended, I rushed to clean houses for people in the richer part of town. By the time I got home, my legs hurt so much I could barely stand. But did I rest? No. Because there were dishes in the sink, laundry piling up in the bathroom, floors that needed sweeping, and nobody else was going to do it. Jacob, he slept until noon every day. He was supposed to be going to the community college, learning about business or computers or something. But most days he just played video games in his room with the door locked. The sound of explosions and shooting came through the walls all night long. Dad gave Jacob a nice silver car 2 years ago. Not new, but way nicer than my rusty old truck that made weird noises every time I started it. When I asked Dad why Jacob got a car and I didn't, he said, "Jacob needs it for school." But Jacob barely went to school. Every month, like clockwork, I handed Mom $300 in cash for rent. She said it was only fair since I was an adult living in their house. I started paying when I turned 19, right after I graduated high school. Jacob never paid a single dollar. Not one. "He's still in school," Mom would say when I brought it up. "He needs to focus on his education, not worry about money." But I was also trying to get an education. I wanted to become a veterinary assistant. I love animals. Always have. When I was little, I used to rescue hurt birds and try to fix their wings with popsicle sticks. I dreamed of working in a clinic, helping dogs and cats feel better. There was a program at the local college. 6 months of training, then you could work at animal hospitals. The cost wasn't too bad. I had been saving money in a secret envelope, hidden inside my winter boots in the closet. $5 here, $10 there. After 2 years, I had almost saved enough. I was so close. But then my truck broke down. The engine made a terrible grinding sound and just died in the middle of the road. Dad said it needed a new part that cost $800. I had to use almost all my saved money to fix it. My dream of vet school disappeared like smoke. I cried that night in my room, quietly so nobody would hear. Dinner time was always the same. Mom cooked. I set the table. We all sat down. Jacob showed up late, grabbed food without saying thank you, and left after 5 minutes. His plate stayed on the table with crumbs and sauce dried on it. Guess who cleaned it up? Me. One night, after everyone went to bed, I heard voices coming from the living room. I had just finished washing all the dishes and was walking past when I heard my name. Stop. My heart started beating faster. I pressed myself against the wall in the dark hallway and listened. "We need to pay for Jacob's classes next month," Mom said. "The bill came today. It's $1,200. $1,200. I almost gasped out loud. That was more than I made in a whole month. Again, Dad sighed. "Didn't we just pay last month?" "He's taking extra courses," Mom explained. "Computer programming and marketing. He's really working hard this semester. I can see the change in him." I peeked around the corner. Jacob's bedroom light was on upstairs. I could hear the video game sounds. Computer programming. Marketing. He was playing games like always. "Where's the money coming from?" Dad asked. "The college fund," Mom said simply. College fund. Those two words made my stomach drop. I remembered asking about college money when I was 18, right after I graduated. I had gotten accepted to a small community college program for animal care. It wasn't expensive, maybe $3,000 for everything. When I asked Mom and Dad if they could help, they both looked at me like I was crazy. "We don't have that kind of money," Dad had said, shaking his head. "Times are tough. My mechanic shop isn't making enough. You need to get a job and help out around here." So I did. Got a job. Helped out. Paid rent. I gave up my dream. But now, standing in that dark hallway, I understood the truth. They did have money. They had a college fund. They just didn't want to spend it on me. The college fund was only for Jacob. I went to my room that night and didn't sleep at all. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about all the times they said, "We can't afford it," when I asked for things. New shoes when mine had holes. A winter coat when mine had a broken zipper. Money for the vet assistant program. They could afford it. They just didn't think I was worth it. That hurt more than any slap ever could. Things got worse before they got better. A few months before the big slap, something strange happened that I didn't understand at the time. I had finally saved up enough money again for the vet assistant program. Took me a whole year, but I did it. I signed up for the entrance test. It was on a Saturday morning at 9. On Friday night I made sure my truck was ready. Checked the gas. I set 3 alarms on my phone. I laid out my clothes. I was so excited I could barely sleep. Saturday morning came. I got dressed, grabbed my bag and went outside to my truck. It wouldn't start. I turned the key. Nothing. Not even a clicking sound. The battery was completely dead. "Dad!" I yelled, running back inside. "My truck won't start. I have my test in an hour." Dad came outside in his pajamas, scratching his belly. He opened the hood and looked inside. "Battery's dead," he said. "Completely drained. Weird. Can you jump it?" Begged. "Please. I'll miss my test." He did jump it, but it took forever. By the time we got it running, I was already 30 minutes late. I drove as fast as I could to the college. When I ran inside, the lady at the desk shook her head. "Sorry, honey. The test already started. No late entries. You'll have to register again next year." Next year. The registration fee was gone. $150 wasted. And I'd have to wait 12 whole months for another chance. I sat in my truck in that parking lot and cried so hard I couldn't breathe. Now, looking back, I realize something. That same weekend, Jacob went on a trip with his friends to the beach. He left Friday night and came back Sunday. He was in a great mood, showing everyone pictures on his phone. My truck battery didn't just die on its own. Someone drained it on purpose. And I think I know who asked them to do it. But I had no proof. Just a terrible feeling in my stomach that wouldn't go away. The months after that were a blur. Work, clean, sleep. Work, clean, sleep. I felt like a robot just going through the motions. I stopped dreaming about being a vet assistant. What was the point? Then came the appointment that changed everything. I had been having problems with my stomach for months. Bad pain, feeling sick all the time. I finally went to the free clinic downtown and the doctor said I needed to see a specialist. They found a spot on my pancreas that didn't look right. Nothing scary, but something they needed to watch. The specialist was in the next town over, an hour away. Appointments were hard to get. I waited 3 months for this one. The doctor had said, "Don't miss it. We need to do tests." So I wasn't going to miss it. No matter what. The morning of my appointment, I woke up early like always. I got dressed, made sure I had my insurance card and the paper with directions. My appointment was at 11. I went downstairs to grab some breakfast before leaving. Mom was making eggs. Dad was reading the newspaper. Jacob stumbled in wearing his basketball shorts and a wrinkled t-shirt, yawning. "Hey Sarah," he said, pouring himself a huge bowl of the expensive cereal Mom bought just for him. "I need a ride to campus this morning. My car's making a weird noise and I don't want to drive it." "I can't," I said, buttering my toast. "I have a doctor's appointment." He laughed. "Just reschedule it. My class starts at 10 and it's important. We're doing presentations today." Presentations. But Jacob had been doing presentations for 4 years and still hadn't finished his 2-year degree. "No," I said firmly. "This appointment took forever to get. I've been waiting 3 months." His face changed. The smile dropped. "Are you serious right now?" "Very serious," I said. "Ask Mom to take you. Or call one of your friends." Mom turned around from the stove, spatula in hand. "Sarah, it's just a doctor's appointment. You can go next week." "It doesn't work like that," I explained, trying to stay calm. "The specialist is hard to see. If I miss this, I'll wait another 3 months. Maybe longer." "You're being selfish," Mom said, her voice getting louder. "Your brother needs help and you're too busy to give him 20 minutes. 20 minutes. They always said that. It's just 20 minutes. It's just a small favor. Family helps family." But it was never just 20 minutes. It was always my time, my plans, my dreams that got pushed aside for Jacob. "No," I said again, stronger this time. "He can find another way." That's when everything exploded. Mom's face turned red. She slammed the spatula down on the counter. "How dare you talk to me like that in my house?" "I'm not being disrespectful," I said, my voice shaking but steady. "I'm just saying I can't cancel this appointment. It's about my health." "Your health?" Dad spoke up from behind his newspaper. "You look fine to me. Stop being dramatic." Dramatic. That word made something inside me snap. "I have a spot on my pancreas," I said loudly. "The doctor said I need tests. This is important." Jacob rolled his eyes. "God, you're so annoying. It's always about you, isn't it? Always about me. Always about me. I worked 2 jobs. Paid rent. I cooked. Cleaned. I did everyone's laundry. I gave up my dreams so Jacob could take classes he didn't even attend. And I was the one making everything about me." "Take him," Mom said, her voice like ice. "Or else." "Or else what?" I heard myself say. That's when she moved. Yes. Her hand came up and smacked me across the face so hard my head twisted to the side. Pain exploded across my cheek. My eyes filled with tears. The whole room spun like a carnival ride. I stumbled backward, catching myself on the kitchen counter. My face burned. I touched my cheek and it felt hot and swollen under my fingers. Mom stood there, breathing hard, her hand still raised like she might hit me again. Jacob stopped eating his cereal. But he didn't look shocked. He looked satisfied, like this was what I deserved. Then Dad walked in from the garage. He looked at my red face. He looked at Mom. And then he said the words that broke something inside me forever. "His future is what matters. What are you worth anyway?" The kitchen went completely silent. Even the clock on the wall seemed to stop ticking. "What are you worth?" I stared at my father, this man who taught me to ride a bike, who used to call me his little helper when I was small, who I thought loved me. He didn't think I was worth anything. In that moment something changed inside me. Not sadness, not anger, something cold and clear and final. I picked up my bag from the floor. I grabbed my keys from the hook by the door. My appointment card was crumpled in my hand. "Where are you going?" Mom demanded. I didn't answer. I walked past all of them, out the front door, into the bright Texas sunshine. My face throbbed with every step. I could feel it swelling. But I didn't cry. Not anymore. I got in my truck, started the engine, and drove away from that house. And I knew deep in my soul that I was never coming back. The drive to the specialist took an hour. I cried for the first 20 minutes, big gulping sobs that made it hard to see the road. But then I wiped my face, turned up the radio, and just drove. When I got to the medical building, I checked my face in the mirror. It was bad. A big red handprint on my left cheek, already turning purple. My lip was split where my teeth had cut it. I went inside anyway. The nurse at the front desk took one look at me and her eyes went wide. "Honey, what happened to you?" "Family argument," I said quietly. She didn't ask any more questions. But she gave me an ice pack wrapped in a paper towel and told me to hold it on my face while I waited. When Dr. Reynolds called me back to her office, she was a kind woman with gray hair and glasses. She looked at my face and frowned. "Sarah, are you safe at home?" she asked gently. That simple question made me want to cry again. Nobody had ever asked me that before. "I'm handling it," I said. She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay. But if you need help, there are people who can assist you. I can give you some phone numbers." We did the test. Ultrasound, blood work, all of it. She said the spot on my pancreas looked okay for now, but we'd need to watch it. She scheduled a follow-up in 3 months. As I was leaving, she stopped me at the door. "Sarah, I know someone who runs a program at the animal clinic across town. They're looking for people to train as assistants. Paid training, benefits, everything. Would you be interested?" My heart jumped in my chest. "Are you serious?" "Very serious," she smiled. "Her name is Rebecca Lopez. Tell her I sent you. Here's her card." I took that card like it was made of gold. That afternoon I didn't go home. Couldn't. Instead, I drove to my friend Emma's apartment. Emma and I had worked together at the grocery store before she got a job at a dentist's office. She was one of the only people who never judged me for my messy family situation. When she opened the door and saw my face, she pulled me inside immediately. "What happened?" she gasped. I told her everything. The slap. Dad's words. The college fund I never knew existed. The battery that mysteriously died. All of it came pouring out like water from a broken dam. Emma listened to every word. Then she said something that changed my life. "You can stay here. As long as you need." "I can't afford rent," I admitted. "I barely make enough as it is." "I don't care about rent," Emma said firmly. "You can sleep on my couch until you figure things out. But Sarah, you cannot go back to that house. Promise me." Promise. That night, I slept on Emma's couch with a borrowed blanket and a pillow that smelled like lavender. It was the best sleep I'd had in years. No sounds of video games through the walls. No early morning panic about dishes. Just peace. The next morning, I called Rebecca Lopez from the card Dr. Reynolds gave me. "Hello, this is Rebecca. Hi, my name is Sarah Mitchell. Dr. Reynolds told me to call you about the vet assistant training program." There was a pause. "Ah yes, Sarah. She told me about you. Can you come in for an interview tomorrow?" "Tomorrow. Not next week. Not next month. Tomorrow." "Yes," said maybe too loudly. "Yes, I can absolutely be there." The interview was at the Riverside Animal Clinic, a small building with a blue roof and a parking lot full of cars. Inside it smelled like antiseptic and dog shampoo. Puppies barked in the back. Cat meowed from somewhere. Rebecca Lopez was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and strong hands. She wore scrubs covered in little paw prints. We sat in her office and talked for almost an hour. She asked about my experience with animals. I told her about rescuing hurt birds as a kid. She asked about my work history, 2 jobs, always on time, never complained. She asked about the bruise on my face. I told her the truth about my family. She didn't look shocked. She looked sad. Sarah, I'm going to be honest with you, Rebecca said. This job is hard. Long hours. Emotional situations. You'll see animals that are sick, animals that can't be saved. It's not easy. I know, I said. But I want to help. I've wanted this since I was a little girl. She smiled. That's what I needed to hear. Or hired. Training starts Monday. $800 a month during training. Then full pay after you pass your certification. Sound good. $800. That was more than I made at both my current jobs combined. I almost cried right there in her office. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet, Rebecca laughed. Wait until you're elbow deep in a Great Dane's ear infection. Monday morning, I showed up at the clinic at 7 sharp wearing the scrubs Rebecca had given me. They were purple with little cats and dogs on them. I felt professional. The first week was intense. I learned how to hold animals properly so they didn't bite or scratch. I learned how to take temperatures and check heartbeats. I learned how to clean cages and prepare surgical equipment. My brain felt like it was going to explode with all the information. But I loved every single minute. Rebecca paired me with a vet tech named Marcus. He was 35, covered in tattoos, and had been working with animals for 12 years. He was tough but fair. You'll make mistakes, Marcus told me on day 1. Everyone does. But you'll learn fast here or you won't make it. Got it. Got it. Living with Emma was good too. We figured out a routine. I'd come home exhausted, she'd have leftover food from her lunch. We'd watch TV together and talk about our days. She never asked for rent money. Instead, I cleaned her apartment and cooked dinner on my days off. It felt like the first time in my life that I was in a place where people actually cared about me. My phone kept buzzing with messages from my family. Mom texted, "You're being ridiculous. Come home." Jacob texted, "Where's my phone charger? I think it's in your room." Dad didn't text at all. I blocked all their numbers. 2 months into my new job, I got my first real paycheck. $800 minus taxes. I stared at it for a long time, sitting on Emma's couch. This was mine. Money I earned helping animals. Money that nobody could take from me or tell me how to spend. I decided to open my own bank account, separate from the joint account I'd shared with Mom since I was 16. I went to the bank on my lunch break, feeling official with my work badge clipped to my scrubs. The bank lady was nice at first. She typed on her computer, asked for my ID and started setting things up. Then her face changed. She frowned, clicked some more, excused herself and came back with a manager. "Miss Mitchell," the manager said carefully, "we're seeing some red flags on your credit history. We can't open a new account until these are resolved." Red flags. What kind of red flags? He printed out a paper and slid it across the desk. Multiple credit cards in your name with high balances. Some are past due. You'll need to clear this up before we can help you. I stared at the paper. Credit cards. I'd never owned a credit card in my life. But there they were. 4 different cards. Balances totaling $38,000. $38,000. My hands started shaking. I didn't open these accounts. The manager gave me a sympathetic look. "That's identity theft then. You'll need to file a police report and dispute these with the credit companies. Here's some information about what to do next." I walked out of that bank in a daze, papers clutched in my hand. That night, Emma and I went through the credit report together line by line. Each charge told a story. Gaming console, $1,200. Shipped to my old address. That was Jacob's PlayStation, the one he'd been so excited about 2 years ago. Laptop computer, $2,500. Shipped to my old address. Jacob's laptop for school. Auto parts, $4,800. From Dad's favorite supplier. Parts for fixing cars at his shop. College tuition payments, $12,000. Made directly to the community college. For Jacob. Custom rims and tires, $3,200. For Jacob's silver car. On and on and on. Every purchase traced back to them. And they'd used my name, my credit, my future to pay for it all. Sarah, Emma said quietly. This is serious. They committed a crime. Multiple crimes. Felt numb. They're my family. They're criminals, Emma said firmly. And if you don't report this, you'll be paying for their choices for the rest of your life. You'll never get a car loan, a home loan, anything. Is that what you want? Well, it wasn't. The next day I went to the police station. I sat in a small room with a detective named Officer Patterson. He was an older man with gray hair and a tired face. I told him everything. Showed him the credit report. Showed him the addresses where items were shipped. Even told him about the truck battery that mysteriously died the day of my test. Officer Patterson listened carefully, taking notes. When I finished, he sat back in his chair. Miss Mitchell, this is identity theft and fraud. If we investigate and find evidence, your parents and possibly your brother could face criminal charges. Prison time. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the slap. About Dad's words. About all the years I gave up on my dreams for Jacob's future. Yes, I said. I'm prepared. The investigation took months. Police visited the house, interviewed my parents and Jacob, took documents and bank records. They pulled security footage from Dad's mechanic shop. One day, Officer Patterson called me. Sarah, we found something you need to see. He showed me a video from the camera at Dad's shop. The timestamp was from the night before my test, the night my truck battery died. In the video, clear as day, Dad stood next to my truck in the dark. He opened the hood, disconnected the battery cables, closed the hood, walked away. Proof. Actual real proof that they sabotaged me on purpose. I felt sick watching it. But I also felt something else. Anger. Pure burning anger. They didn't want me to succeed, I said quietly. No ma'am, Officer Patterson agreed. They didn't. The case moved forward. More evidence piled up. The credit card companies confirmed the signatures on the applications were forged. The college confirmed Jacob's tuition was paid with cards in my name. Everything was building. Then the district attorney decided to press charges. My parents were arrested on a Thursday morning. Jacob was arrested at his friend's house that same day. The charges included identity theft, fraud, forgery, and tax evasion. They'd been claiming false deductions on Dad's business too. I heard about it from Officer Patterson. He called me at work while I was helping bandage a dog's paw. They've been charged, he said. Trial is set for 6 months from now. You'll need to testify. Testify. Which meant I'd have to face them in court and tell everyone what they did. Okay, I said. I'll be there. Word spread fast in our small town. People talk. Dad's mechanic shop lost customers. Nobody wanted a mechanic who stole from his own daughter. Mom had to get a job at a gas station just to pay bills. Jacob dropped out of college completely. Some people thought I was wrong for pressing charges. Family is family, they'd say. You should forgive them. But Rebecca, my boss, told me something important. Sarah, forgiveness doesn't mean letting people hurt you over and over. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is hold people accountable. You're not doing this to be mean. You're doing this to be free. I held on to those words like a lifeline. My training at the clinic continued. I passed my written exam with flying colors. Then came the practical exam where I had to demonstrate everything I'd learned. Marcus watched me carefully as I drew blood from a calm golden retriever, bandaged a cat's paw, and assisted Dr. Wilson with a routine checkup. When I finished, Marcus nodded once. Not bad, Mitchell. You passed. I wanted to jump up and down. Instead, I just smiled so big my face hurt. Welcome to the team, Rebecca said, shaking my hand. You're officially a certified vet assistant now. Your pay goes up to $15 an hour starting next week. $15 an hour. With benefits. Actual health insurance that would cover my pancreas checkups. I made it. Despite everything they did to stop me, I'd made it. The trial finally came. It was a cold morning in February. The courthouse was old with tall ceilings and wooden benches that creaked when you sat down. I wore my nicest outfit, a simple dress Emma had helped me pick out. I sat in the front row with Officer Patterson beside me. Emma sat right behind me for support. Mom and Dad were brought in wearing orange jumpsuits, handcuffs on their wrists. Mom looked thin, her hair gray now instead of brown. Dad looked older, his face lined and tired. Jacob sat in the defendant area too, no handcuffs but wearing a cheap suit that didn't fit right. He wouldn't look at me. The prosecutor stood up and explained everything to the judge and jury. She showed the credit reports, the forged signatures, the video of Dad tampering with my truck, bank records showing they'd spent nearly $40,000 in my name while telling me they were too poor to help with my education. Then it was my turn to testify. I walked to the stand, my legs shaking. The bailiff asked me to swear to tell the truth. I put my hand on the Bible and said, "I do." The prosecutor asked me to tell my story. So I did. I told them about working 2 jobs while Jacob slept until noon. About paying rent while he paid nothing. About the education fund I never knew existed. About the slap. About Dad's words that I was worth nothing. When I finished, the courtroom was silent. The defense lawyer tried to make me look bad. "Isn't it true you were jealous of your brother?" he asked. "Isn't that what this is really about?" "No," I said clearly. "This is about them committing crimes and destroying my credit to fund a lifestyle they couldn't afford." He tried again. "Don't you think sending your parents to prison is extreme?" I looked right at him. "I think stealing someone's identity and future is extreme. I think slapping your daughter for wanting to go to a medical appointment is extreme. I think sabotaging someone's truck so they miss an important test is extreme." The jury nodded. I could see it on their faces. They believed me. After 3 days of trial, the jury came back with their verdict. Guilty on all counts. The judge gave his sentence. Dad got 4 years in prison. Mom got 3 years of probation and had to pay back every single dollar they'd stolen, with interest. Jacob got 2 years in prison for being part of the fraud. As they took Dad and Jacob away in handcuffs, Dad looked at me one last time. "Was this worth it?" he asked. "Destroying your family." I stood up straight and looked him right in the eyes. "I didn't destroy this family. You did. I just stopped letting you destroy me." After the trial, things moved fast. The house was sold to pay back the debt. Mom moved into a tiny apartment across town. I heard through friends that she worked 3 part-time jobs now to make ends meet. Jacob got out after 18 months for good behavior. Last I heard, he was living with a friend and working at a fast food restaurant. No more gaming console. No more silver car. No more free ride. As for me, I moved out of Emma's apartment and into my own small place. Just a studio, but it's mine. My name on the lease. My furniture. My rules. I'm still working at Riverside Animal Clinic. Rebecca promoted me to senior vet assistant last month. I help train new people now, just like Marcus trained me. And I'm taking online classes to eventually become a licensed vet tech. The clinic is even helping pay for it. My credit is slowly getting better. Takes time to rebuild, but every month the score goes up a little. I'll get there. Last week, a woman brought in a tiny kitten she'd found in a parking lot. The kitten was sick, barely breathing. We worked on her for 2 hours. Fluids, antibiotics, warming blankets. I stayed late, checking on her every 30 minutes. The next morning, that little kitten was purring in her cage, eating food, swatting at a toy. That's when I knew I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Sometimes people ask if I regret pressing charges, if I miss my family, if I wish things had gone differently. Here's what I tell them. I don't regret standing up for myself. I don't miss being treated like a servant in my own home. And I don't wish things were different because then I wouldn't have found my real family. The people at the clinic who value me, Emma who gave me a place to stay, Dr. Reynolds who saw me when I was broken and helped me find a way forward. Blood doesn't make you family. Love makes you family. And they never really loved me. They just loved what I could do for them. The price they paid wasn't revenge. It was consequence. Natural, logical consequence for treating someone like garbage for years. And the price I paid, losing a family that never valued me, was actually a gift. Because it freed me to find a life worth living. If you're in a situation like I was, where family makes you feel worthless, where you're working yourself to the bone for people who don't appreciate you, let me tell you something important. You deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve to chase your dreams without someone sabotaging you at every turn. Walking away isn't giving up. Sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. 3 years later, I'm sitting here in my own apartment, typing this story on my own laptop that I bought with my own money. There's a rescue cat named Pepper sleeping on my lap. Tomorrow I have a shift at the clinic where I'll help save lives and make a difference. And you know what? I'm happy. Genuinely. Deeply happy in a way I never was in that blue house with the broken fence. The slap that was supposed to keep me in line. Set me free. The words that were supposed to break me. They made me stronger. The family that was supposed to love me. They taught me what real love isn't. So to anyone watching this who's been treated like they don't matter, who's been told they're worthless, who's been slapped down every time they try to rise up, this is your sign. You do matter. You are worth it. And the people who can't see that don't deserve a place in your life. That's my story. From a girl who got slapped for choosing herself, to a woman who built a whole new life from scratch. The revenge wasn't planned. It was just the natural result of finally saying enough. If this story resonated with you, smash that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me your story. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply living well and refusing to let toxic people steal your future. Thanks for watching Flex Revenge unfold. Until next time, keep standing up for yourself. You're worth it.